Okay. Oop, shit. All right. Jordan, check the stream. Checking the audio levels. We have to do some housekeeping up top first before we get into the podcast proper. And I don't mind that these take a little longer because it makes it easier to edit in CapCut. When it's like 30 seconds as opposed to like 10.
I'm on, but it's still on the opening screen.
Give it a second. It always takes a minute to catch up.
Honestly, it makes it easier to edit in CapCut. When it's like 30 seconds as opposed to like 10.
Okay, that's good. We're good. All right.
We are good. People can hear us, or at least they can hear you.
They can hear me at least. And that's all that really matters. No, I'm kidding. Before we jump into the podcast proper, we're going to cut a promo real quick. They got to do some behind the scenes for all the nobodies who's watching. Anyway, this podcast is brought to you by the Arete Podcast Network. Please go to aretemedia.org to enjoy plenty of podcasts from all of our friends. And you can contact them if you would like to start your own podcast. That's aretemedia.org. On with the show, Jordan.
Howdy.
All right. Okay. Welcome once again to the Spur of the Moment podcast. I am your host, as always, Justin Spurr, and I am joined by my co-host, the incomparable Jordan. Say hello, Jordan.
Hello, Jordan.
And today, at the top of the hours of the multiple hours that goes into the show, at the top of the show, we have an exciting announcement to make. This episode is brought to you by TrophySmash.com. More on them later. Don't you worry. We're going to be talking about them later. Anyway, on to the news. On to the news, Jordan?
The news.
On to the news. All right. Okay, Justin doesn't have his news ready.
Funny enough, when we talk about that more later, it could still be considered part of the news.
Right?
For us.
For us, it's technically still part of the news. Okay. First news. They announced a new Predator movie. Excitingly, but on the negative note, it doesn't sound like it's going to be a sequel to Prey, which is disappointing because that movie was really, really good.
From what I remember, that one was good. I remember enjoying that.
Everyone was like, just do that, but like drop him in other random moments in history. Like imagine it's a Predator, but he's fighting a ninja. Or like it's a Predator, but he's fighting a knight in the middle of like
medieval times. Like that. Like just again. Heck, I want Alien, but like it's like the dragon that they're fighting in medieval time is Alien.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That'd be super fun. I don't know. I think it'd be super fun. It sounds like it's gonna go back to taking place in like the future, and I'm like, but that's so not interesting to me. It was so much more interesting when the Predator was like stripped down and like had to like use the weapons that were available to it. And it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting. That movie was good. That
movie was good.
It is, in my opinion, the best Predator movie. Like I've seen all of them, except for. Nope, I've seen all of them, and no, that's not true. I didn't see the Shane Black one. That was bad. Sorry, I've seen most of them, and it is, in my opinion, the best one. That's including the originals. It's better than the originals. It is the best. It is the best Predator movie.
Have I seen the originals? Is that a franchise that I've?
I think you saw the first one.
Okay.
Because I think
when they're in the jungle. They're in the jungle, I think I saw that one.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
We had a mutual friend, who he would always be like, when he saw it, he fell in love with the line, "You ugly motherfucker." He fell in love, "Are you one ugly?" Whatever that is. Yeah, he fell in love with that line. He would just say it constantly, like obnoxiously. He liked movies that were hyperly masculine, right? You know who I'm talking about, and that's him.
Pretty sure I know who you're talking about, and that's into a T.
Yeah.
If it's who I think you're talking about.
Anyway, they apparently talked to the guy who plays Dustin, Gaten Mazzarato, who plays Dustin on Stranger Things, and he feels
Dusty Buns?
Dusty Buns, yeah. He feels that they should kill more characters in the next season, which I agree with. I definitely think Eleven's gonna die. There's no way she's not. Like
she has no interest in coming. She's very obviously. I was gonna say she was very obviously contractually obligated to come back and do this, and doesn't want to.
And look, fair enough. It took them 10 years to make 5 seasons of television. It's absurd.
I don't blame her. The time has passed.
She's been doing this since she was 10. Like
the fact that they're still going through it is kind of impressive, honestly.
And they're insisting. They're like, oh yeah, we have a bunch of spin-off shit planned. Stranger Things is gonna stick it out, and I'm like, not if it's taking you 2-3 years at a time to shit out.
They're all kind of done with it at this point. None of them seem like they would want to come back and do any spin-off shit.
I think it's like prequels, and right now they've got a musical, and like it's stuff that doesn't involve so far as everyone they talked to I forget the actor's name, Hopper. And he basically was like, this is it for us. This is it for our characters. Like anything they do externally won't involve them.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
How do you keep this culturally relevant when it takes you like 3 years to butt out 7 episodes of a show? Like, it's not sustainable. We always talk about these 8-episode seasons are not sustainable. Like, they're just not. We talked about it last week. And we don't need to go over it again, but it's just not. So we got to talk about the Knuckles trailer, Jordan. We didn't talk about
Yeah.
It looks fun.
I mean, it looks like the movie, which is fun. I like the movie. I'm impressed that it still feels like it's just the movie.
Sonic and Tails are really in the first episode, right? Like that's just obvious to everyone.
I mean, first and maybe last.
Maybe, but just judging by that footage, that's the first episode.
Yeah, probably like the first bit of the episode.
Also,
yeah,
it's a little like it's.
So I don't understand who's the bad guy.
It's a guy who worked for Robotnik. It seems like he's just a generic nobody. Well, unless something else shows up in the 13th hour, it's someone who not be in the movies.
Yeah, that line felt like it was maybe cut for like maybe we're gonna see the sidekick of Dr. Robotnik in this show, and that's who he's actually talking about. It just these characters feel very who are they and why should I care?
They're disposable, so they can be in the 6 episodes.
I get that. That's what I'm just saying that's my thing watching this is
I will say that he did have a kind of a fun line when he's like, what makes you think we need your power?
Yeah, the callback. The callback.
Yeah, it's like we need his power. We
do. So there's no way that this show I forgot this show was coming out, quite honestly, but there's no way that this show is not going to introduce Rouge the Bat.
I mean,
if you were ever going to do it in the Knuckles show,
why you would say that, but the trailer gives me the impression that it's just the first movie again. The guy looks like James Marsden. Also, James Marsden's definitely not in this. It's just the wife, and she's only in the first episode. I guarantee you. But that guy, it's Knuckles and the guy in a car driving across the country fighting robots.
Yeah,
it's the first movie, so I just don't. Maybe in a post credits in the last episode, maybe.
Well, that's more what I'm talking about. Is like I don't think she'll be a main focus of it. I'm saying they'll use this to introduce her, whether that's like a stinger in the last episode or whatever, or by name, or like there'll be some reference to her. She'll leave a calling card that he finds at the end. Whatever. Maybe. She will be introduced using this show.
The space to do it. Also, I saw someone say that the notion of them fusing the energy, the Knuckles Sonic energy with machinery. He had a theory that he thinks it's setting up Metal Sonic in some form.
Oh, you're talking about Andre.
Yeah, Andre.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I was like, you know what? I didn't think about that. Makes sense.
It absolutely makes sense. They them doing a Godzilla versus King Kong. Shadow and Sonic have to team up to beat him. Yeah. To beat Mecha Sonic, Mecha Hedgehog.
I don't know if in the next one.
Yeah,
but definitely
I could see that being a thing that they're leading up to.
Maybe even in this Knuckles show, we see Metal Sonic by the end of it, and he's the big bad thing that Knuckles has to punch at the end of the show. Because him punching people it's like all right.
It does feel like whether it be a gigantic machine or Mecha Sonic, there's going to be something that he's going to have to fight at the end of it.
Sonic 3 and we're going to get into that next. Sonic 3 Sonic Adventure 2 battle. or Sonic Adventure 2. It's Sonic Adventure 2. So they're not
There's
fighting Sonic. They're fighting Final Hazard or
I mean,
Biohazard.
the only way they're fighting Mecha Sonic is if they use him as like a placeholder for the Biohazard, or like he's like the fill-in or something. But no, they're pushing hard for Sonic Adventure 2.
And
they got Maria.
I mean, you got Maria. I mean, this thing is, these guys are there's such a reverence for Sonic that, and I made a TikTok about
the cowboy hat,
the fucking hat, Jordan. It's the hat. There was a side by side that I saw, and it's the hat. It's the same. It's the same.
It's a callback to the hat. I did a little bit of reading into the hat. The hat in that OVA exists because it comes from the Archie comics.
Oh, so that in of itself is a callback.
It's a callback to the Archie comics where the hat comes from his grandfather.
Oh, who's in this show? I saw someone make this idiotic TikTok.
The old echidna is definitely going to be. It's probably going to be a flashback or something. Like he's remembering back to his childhood. But
I don't know, because it looks like I think he's in our world because he looks like he's wearing a T-shirt. But if you see I saw someone did like an Easter egg video, and there was a really stupid one, but they were like the name tag. If you freeze frame it, the name tag is his grandpa's name. And they're like, oh, that's clearly Knuckles in disguise. And I'm like, no, that's the guy. And I think
that's his grandfather.
I think my theory is, because remember how in the last one Knuckles was like, I never saw them again? I think they ended up in our world, and he's working at like a T-shirt shop or something. Because that's what it looks like. It looks like he's like working for like a store or something. But no, that's definitely his grandpa.
I could believe that they're gonna go like that. They're setting up to go the route that like Sonic's power and now Knuckles' power and Tails' power on this planet is like a homing beacon, which is bringing all these other people to Earth, and that's how they're gonna explain why Amy shows up. That's how they're gonna explain why like Rouge the Bat shows up at the end. That's why like how they're gonna explain like all the fun Easter eggs that'll be in Sonic 3. Like you'll probably get Chow and like blah blah blah. Right?
Far more likely. Well, I think it's far more likely they'll retcon it, so they'll do a "they've always been here" thing, like they did with the Transformers.
That's also possible.
They'll find like the temple, and that'll connect it to, because this next one they're doing like
in Sonic 2, the temple and stuff was already on Earth, so they've kind of already set that idea up.
I imagine they're gonna do it backwards. They're gonna do Sonic. Well, I think the next one's probably going to be the last one, but I think the next one they're definitely, and we're gonna get into reasons why they're definitely just doing Sonic Adventure 2. I've got more, but they're gonna do Sonic Adventure 1 probably after that, and at that point they'll just be like, the Chows and Chaos has always been on Earth, and they'll be like the Master Emerald was like seeking it out or something, or they'll find a way to be like these things have come here before or something.
Probably. Like they'll be like these things have come here before, and when Chaos like went crazy last time, he wiped their existence.
Yeah.
And that's why we never found anything, is because of that.
Also, it was weird to see.
It was buried beneath the sea.
Yeah, exactly. Wasn't the temple on our planet?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was buried beneath the sea.
Yeah.
And didn't Dr. or Knuckles or somebody, they used the emerald and it cleared the path to it, and that's where they went into it.
That's what I remember. Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen that one.
But that reverence tells me that they're fighting the biohazard. They're fighting the biohazard. The final hazard.
Some variation of it. He'll probably be fairly accurate.
It'll be fairly one to one, because these guys fucking love Sonic, and it shows. Yeah. And that's like, but no, it was weird to see Science World take a tumble. That was a weird moment for me.
Was that? So that was Science World. Okay, that's funny.
No way that wasn't Science World. And they filmed the last one here. They filmed the coffee shop. The coffee shop that the assistant works at is at Five Corners.
Oh, that's funny.
That's the area.
I feel like I knew that, but I forgot.
Yeah. So they filmed a bunch of it here. So it didn't surprise me. It was like, oh, so that's what it looks like when that falls. I've always wondered what would happen if it. And it's so funny
if someone knocked it off. Yeah.
If you see that, like, as a person who lives here, I'm like, that's physically impossible based on how I know what the inside looks like. That can't happen. Like it's not a ball. Like it's a
There's no
moving
bottom.
screen.
There's no bottom part of
No,
it.
there's no bottom. It's not a ball. It's attached to a building. Like that would never happen. It
Yeah.
would just fall over. But it's funny to see. It's weird that's like in
Final Destination.
that one always gets me. In Final Destination, seeing I couldn't go over Lionsgate Bridge for literal years after that because it freaked me out that bad. Like I say that it sounds like a joke, but it's absolutely 1,000% not a joke. Like it still gives me a pity feeling in my stomach. Like
once you've seen a bridge that you know have structural failure, it does tend to freak you out a little bit.
Oh my god! It's like if you want to talk horror movies, it's the only horror movie that legitimately scared me in real life, where it was like, it still makes me uncomfortable going over that bridge because it looks rickety from the ground. I don't care what anyone says. There was another one. In the RoboCop remake, that movie's supposed to be in Detroit, and the entire climax of it takes place at the convention center downtown. And it's just really distracting. All local references for our international listeners.
For me, and another one is Tron Legacy, when he jumps off the building, and I'm like, hey, that used to be my college.
That's funny. But anyway, back on topic. How you know that they really want this to be Sonic Adventure 2? You're never gonna guess what song they got. Well, what the song they're gonna use?
Live and Learn.
Yes, they talked to the lead singer of
that makes me excited.
Crush 40, and he's not involved. The band is not involved with it, but they have secured the rights for the song itself.
Interesting. Interesting.
I didn't hear it in that announcement.
So that'll be their ending credits theme.
I'm hoping that it's like they're gonna do a cover and it's gonna get a real, and it's not just like, I mean, as neat as it is to hear this stuff loosely in the background, it's not the same. And that's the song that deserves some reverence, I think. It was cool to hear it. Hear Green Hill's the first one, but
what I would love is them to have an opening, like, you know how in the second one they have where he's doing the vigilante thing or whatever.
Yeah.
I would love to have them do in the third one. It's him and Tails and Knuckles and stuff. They're doing the vigilante thing in the city again, except this time they're really good and really competent at it. And while they're doing it, it's this happy scene where it's bright and colorful as they're doing it all, and City Escape plays.
That would be pretty rad. I mean, I would love to see City. What I want, I mean, my dream for this, and we got Egg, Robo in the last one, and Supersonic. Was never expecting that from these movies. So my dream version of this is like a big, epically scaled, budgeted version of the friggin' Final Hazard, meteors, and they're like. It goes full anime. I mean, it's high budget because yes, obviously, if you're doing a sequel, what's better than one Supersonic but two Supersonics? And then it's like a big epic orchestral version. Like I'm talking sweeping orchestral version of Live and Learn, and it's just like I want it so bad. My inner 12-year-old craves it.
Here's what I'll say. If Jim Carrey doesn't come back for it, they might have
he's coming back.
Let me finish my joke. If Jim Carrey is not coming back for it, they might actually have the budget for that.
No, but he's coming back though. He's going to be the one who lets Shadow out. I'm not. We talked about it. I'm happy he's coming back. It's good. Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next topic. But no, I'm seriously very excited for that movie. So excited.
Oh yeah, I love the first two. That'll be, if nothing else, it will be fun.
Oh yeah.
The guy who plays Sonic is just he likes being Sonic. Yeah. He's fun being Sonic, and I believe that he's Sonic.
I can't believe why not. And they released it. Did you see the trailer for the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles show that looks bad?
No, I didn't. I didn't even know they were making a new one.
Yeah, it's a midquel that takes place between the show and the first movie and the second movie.
Like the original movie?
No. It's the more recent one. Rise of the Teen, not Rise. The theater, the Seth Rogen one.
Oh, okay.
It's basically a bridge show that ties to the next movie.
Ah, okay.
And it just
I don't really have any feelings about that. I didn't watch that movie.
Oh, the animation looks exactly the same as Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is bad in my cheap and it just doesn't look good. But it's gonna contrast to what I said. I'm surprised they haven't made like a cheap, basic, 2D animated Sonic show that's just like for YouTube or maybe or as a bumper show that if they have those anymore. That's like just like 10, 12-minute sketches. That's basically Sonic Boom, but with Ben Schwartz's Sonic. And then you have you get voice matches to play the human characters.
On not so much that version of the character, but I think it was on YouTube. Might have been on Twitter or something. But they had this thing going where it was I think it was the Sonic Boom voices or whatever, where they did the phone calls or whatever.
Yeah.
So they did have something of that nature.
But yeah, I would just do a very with that version of Sonic because he seems like he'll do anything. And you can get in a voice booth. Because the thing about he's one of those actors that I always complain that he understands that voiceover is easy to do nowadays, and you can literally set it up in your hotel room. Like you don't need to go into a studio anymore. You can do it anywhere as long as you set it up properly and you get proper, you know what I mean? And a production a budget for that. So it's like he will be in anything. He'll voice act in anything, and I love him and I love his Sonic. And yeah, I really hope. I'm hoping from this Knuckles show that it's a bit more than this. We're jogging in place. There's nothing really comes of this kind of thing. Like I'd like it to have an impact on the
franchise.
On the franchise, yeah. But I'm definitely.
I want it. Well, I mean, I think they need to. That's where they need to use this to introduce Rouge the Bat.
Yeah, well, certainly introduce the concept of other animal creatures.
Yeah, whatever. Like, just use it to set up stuff that's going to be in the third one that you don't have the time to do in the third one, so that you don't have to waste time doing it in the third one.
I think that they should have it where Rouge works for Gunn. Retcon her story. Don't make her a thief. Make it where she's a gun agent up top, and have it where she works on she's hidden, and and have that explain why the government didn't seem super shocked to find out about Sonic.
Yeah. I mean, I certainly would have it be where in this show you find out that she's working for Gunn, and then when she's going undercover in the movie, you don't say anything, and it's a fun like, oh, if you've seen the show, but if you haven't seen the show, it's still kind of following the plot of the game where you're not supposed to know, and it's a fun Easter egg either way.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, so Disney has announced Moana 2. They put out a trailer for Moana 2 that's coming out this November, and
I heard that.
The Rock is all the way, and they're still making the live action one for some fucking reason.
Yeah, that's where I'm confused.
The Rock is all in on Moana, baby. He will play Maui until he croaks.
Why not? It's an easy paycheck.
Well, not for the live action one, I don't imagine.
No, but that's a big paycheck.
Yeah, and apparently the chick who plays Moana hasn't said whether or not she's coming back. So it would be funny to me if Moana's not in Moana 2 and it's purely Maui and it's like a new girl. It would make me laugh. I think that would be funny. Oh, and Lin-Manuel Miranda's not coming back, so there's no
Moana's
hope for
daughter.
Yeah, Moana's daughter. Yeah. Oh yeah, that also they could do that. Yeah. But yeah, this has no hope as far as I'm concerned because Lin-Manuel Miranda's not coming back, which is the only reason why anyone remembers the first one. If you tell me anyone remembers the first one for any reason other than the music, I'm gonna call you a liar because that movie is otherwise completely forgettable.
You're not wrong.
Exactly, I'm not wrong. But they gave a bunch of this stuff like release dates. So Toy Story 5. Frozen 3 and Zootopia 2 are all coming. They're all coming within the next couple of years.
Of course they are. Of course they are.
I mean, we talked about what we think, and I made a TikTok out of it about what we think Zootopia 2 should be, which is make it about police corruption.
Yep.
I think that'd be kind of fun. And then well, I don't know. I don't remember the end of Frozen 2. I have no idea what they're going to do.
The end of Frozen 2, Anna is in charge of Arendelle, and Elsa is up with the people that are up She's the spirit that binds all the spirits. She's the Avatar, Justin.
Oh, right. And that movie has no antagonist, right? There's no bad guy in it.
I think Arendelle could loosely be
Well,
called that, their grandfather or whatever.
I know that they changed the ending of it. I like in the 13th hour, they changed the ending of it, and they cut out all this stuff that basically was like, yeah, Arendelle did a genocide. They cut like most of that out. So the ending is completely different. So there was a bad guy, but they cut it out. I honestly don't remember. I had partaken in substances when I watched that movie, and I don't remember.
I just remember that the grandfather gave the native people the shitty deal and then built the dam, and it screwed everything up.
I don't. There's two things I remember about that movie: the scene where Olaf tells the plot of the first movie because it's funny, and then Disney absolutely beat it into the ground, and then I remember the bit where they're playing charades, because the movie comes to an absolute standstill, and I was super high at the time, and I remember thinking it was super funny because it was absurd that the movie came to a grinding halt just so the character. And I was like, why is this not a show? I would watch an entire show of these characters just hanging out and playing party games. Like, this is amazing. And then Into the Woods was like a fever dream because it starts off with the
Bohemian Rhapsody people.
The reindeer singing to him, and I just remember I was just like, wow. And then it blows out into this huge power ballad. I was like, this is amazing. This is going to be everyone's favorite, and then it wasn't. Nothing hit quite as good. I mean, everyone was looking for the Let It Go, and they never found it.
They're also making a big deal with the Fortnite people.
Yeah, I saw that. They're making a big deal with the Fortnite people, and I'm like, all right. Everyone's been in Fortnite. There's a really funny video of
I just hope that
they told me that they put my characters in Fortnite, and
I just really hope that Fortnite is not a level in Kingdom Hearts 4. I will be upset.
that would be funny though.
No, it wouldn't. No. Putting my foot down on that one right now. We will not.
No, more what it means is the Kingdom Hearts characters will be in Fortnite. Is more what that means.
Yeah, probably. Like everyone else on the goddamn planet.
Oh
yeah. I don't get it. I don't get it.
The Union confirmed, not Marvel, but the SAG-AFTRA. There's some sort of contract or something that has confirmed that Pedro Pascal is going to be Mr. Fantastic in the new Fantastic Four movie, and I'm like,
if I don't see it, but okay.
I don't see it, but I could be made to see it.
Yeah,
that's all.
But I don't see it.
I don't see it right now, but I don't prejudge casting anymore because of the reason why nobody prejudges casting anymore.
Because you never know if it's going to be real.
Because Heath Ledger is the Joker. That's why.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, we all went, ooh, the Brokeback Mountain guy, and then he turned out to be phenomenal. And ever since then, I won't prejudge an actor before I see them perform. So, I just don't like him because he's busy, and it's just my worry is he does one, and then we have to suffer through years of being is he gonna do Fantastic Four 2, and him doing interviews of being maybe, instead of getting a young up and comer who will be yes, I'll be there for 5 of these because I'm not tired yet.
I want John Krasinski.
I'm still indifferent towards that.
Hashtag give me the Krasinski cut.
Oh yes, it's tangentially related. Marvel stuff. Josh Brolin has hinted that perhaps Thanos might be coming back, which I would argue he never left. He's been around for ever. So, but I know that they're doing a thing in the theme park with the ride with King Thanos, so I wouldn't be surprised if in Secret Wars we see a Thanos variant come back. That doesn't inherently surprise me.
I mean, that would be the place to do it.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, you have him show up for a big punch at the end.
You have him show up, and this version is good.
Yeah,
and he helps, and he helps our side.
And he helps them punch a Kang. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah. Or enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of situation.
Yeah, if you're gonna bring him back, certainly. I'm never against bringing back a character. I'm not one of those people who's like when people are boo, don't bring back Iron Man. I'm like, go for it. Who cares? As long as you do something.
As long as you justify it to me.
Exactly. As long as you do something interesting with it, then all right, do it. Do what you will.
Yeah.
Do what you're gonna.
Yeah.
Do what makes you happy. Um.
Do it. Do it.
Oh yeah. So that's really funny. Bethesda, um, has said that they're considering making that Indiana Jones game that was supposed to be an Xbox exclusive. It's probably going to come to PlayStation 5, like we said. Same
I
with,
mean, yeah, that's what always happens.
Same with uh oh my god, the space one, space Fallout, space Skyrim. I can't remember what it's called.
I don't know. It doesn't.
Starfield. That's apparently coming to PlayStation as well, and apparently Xbox is being like, yeah, we're not probably not going to do exclusives anymore, guys. Probably not going to do that.
It just doesn't. It costs. It means they're losing out on a revenue source. Like that's the idea of exclusives has like fiscally and financially never made sense to me.
No,
I like it because it gives you a reason to want to buy a particular console,
right?
But financially, it doesn't make any sense.
I mean, it used to be about
why
software.
Would you?
It's no longer
like
about
why
software.
Would you? No, I know. I'm saying that's why I like it is for that. But
that's what I'm saying is the game is no longer about what software, because in the game back in the day was all the hardware was all the same. So it was like you need to stand out some way. It's not like that anymore. Now it's about the hardware. So to me, your hardware should be flashier. Like your thing should have more bells and whistles. Like who cares about the software at this point? You could download the software. Like to me, software it should be functional more than, and it should work. Like exclusivity tends to mean that these things don't work and they're glitchy. Like every exclusive nowadays is glitchy because everyone wants to have something that can go on as many things as possible. So it's like, then stop worrying about that.
Anyway,
moving on. Oh yeah, they're talking about. I don't know why I saved this, but the actor who's playing Mufasa in the prequel has basically been like, I'm not gonna be like
James Earl Jones.
I'm not gonna be James Earl Jones because he's a finished king. He's a king who's like at the end of his road, and I'm the king at the beginning. So I'm gonna be green. I'm like, that makes sense.
Oh, so you're gonna be Simba?
It doesn't. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of hoping for something like.
I mean, is that not what Simba is? The point of Simba is that he's an unrefined Mufasa, who's, especially in the second one, coming into his skin and learning how to be a king.
I suppose. I mean, I would maybe make him, if you're gonna do more serious, more like regal, I guess, more like less bratty. But yeah, more or less.
I would make him pompous. He's pompous. And he has to learn how to become the king that, like, he thinks he as a lion thinks that he's better than everyone, and he has to learn how to like treat everyone with the respect that they deserve as part of the circle of life, and that's the point. He has to learn about the circle of life.
I would certainly focus on the fact that this is a story about two lions. Like, don't be like, oh, it's good, bad. It's Scar versus Mufasa. Be like, it's about them together. Scar can't become Scar if Mufasa, or Mufasa can't become Mufasa if Scar doesn't become Scar, and like reflect their. But hey, that would require creativity
and nuance,
and it would involve actually caring about your story. But with that. The news was like this week. It's all casting news, and it's like how you like how many times can you be like, this person's playing this unless it's interesting, like Pedro Pascal.
Unless it's big earth like shattering news. Yeah. I will say there is one thing that one bit of news that I can bring to the table, which is that recently I heard. I believe it was Universal with their theme parks. They have this whole big like plan going on. So like they're gonna have the Dark Universe monster section of their park.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
One was like I think Simpson Land, Mario Land was one section, and then there was another section as well. And apparently it's making Disney sweat. Like they're nervous about it.
Well, I mean, Disney
which is why, from what I understand, which is why Disney, Bob Iger or whatever, is doing so much. He came out with all these announcements of all this stuff this year, is because he's like, "This is the year, baby. We're gonna make Disney big again. We're putting it back on the menu. We're gonna blow Universal and their new theme park, their little theme park plan out of the water.
Well,
So
Disney didn't like Nintendo Land.
yeah, that
They
was a big threat to them.
they were supposed to get. Well, no, maybe it wasn't. It might have been definitely Harry Potter Land. They were supposed to get Harry Potter
Oh,
Land.
I think that was the other one that's
and
part
then
of their plan.
and then J.K. Rowling didn't like the deal, so it wound up at Universal, and yeah, they hated that. And then they also hate Nintendo Land because it's very it's they do shit a lot better than Disney is right now. It's a lot more in terms of like
Technology.
yeah, and guest relations is just a lot more efficient, and it's a lot more modern. Like Disney when it comes to theme. I mean, this is not a theme park podcast, but Disney when it comes to theme park behind it, I got really into Jenny Nicholson, who's a big theme park YouTuber, but they're really outdated when it comes to a lot of how the mechanisms and stuff work, and Nintendo Land is modern, and Disney found that to be threatening.
So yeah, Universal has this whole big expansion plan.
Yeah. It looks cool.
So
it looks cool.
It does look cool. But I thought,
but cool.
I thought I would mention that as a bit of news.
Yeah, that's fun. Next week we're gonna be talking probably talking about some trailers, because this Sunday, and this is kind of the downfall of recording a podcast on Saturday. But on Sunday is Super Bowl, and there's supposed to be a bunch of trailers. Deadpool trailer. Apparently, we're gonna find out. I had an article about some of the titles that were being floated, and it was like some of them was like Deadpool and Wolverine, Deadpool. I like Deadpool and Friends. That one I liked.
Deadpool and Friends.
Yeah, I like that. And so apparently that's coming tomorrow. So next week we're gonna be talking. We're gonna be talking some sports ball again.
Some Super Bowl stuff.
Yeah, some Super Bowl stuff. But with that, it's time to move into the sponsored section of the podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by Trophy Smack. Now, Jordan, let's say you have an award-winning podcast, an episode of a podcast. Let's say, Jordan, you wanted a trophy to celebrate that. Where could such a person go to receive a trophy for their award-winning podcast?
Well, they could go down into our description below and find our link, which would take them to trophysmack.com. Where you can get belts, personalized belts, rings, trophy toppers for the options are just there's a whole bunch. They've got wall art that you can have up on the wall. They were on Shark Tank.
Yeah, as seen on Shark Tank. They made a deal on Shark Tank with Mark Cuban, so that's legit. Money back guarantee, free engraving and free shipping, custom trophies, belts, rings, and more. Everything from fantasy football to corporate awards, gaming, esports, and even professional wrestling and real sports belts. So if you're like, I want to look like I'm a wrestling champion, they can get you a belt. And all you need to do this is click the link, as Jordan said, in the description of this video. Clicking that link takes you to their website and tells them that we sent you.
I mean, after all, if you're doing like a fantasy football league, for example, you don't want just bragging rights. Yeah. You want a badass trophy that really makes you feel like you won the pot.
Exactly. And let's say your son or daughter has a little league game. You don't want to get them a dinky little trophy with like a little guy. You want a nice, cool looking super belt that they can brag to their friends.
Or a ring. Or a football ring.
That says, I am the champ. So that's Trophy Smack. Go to the link in our description. Click it. Tell them we sent you. It helps the podcast a lot. Buy 10, please. Again.
Tell your friends that have, grandkids that are in like football leagues, sports leagues, bowling leagues. I'm pretty sure they could do that.
But most importantly, use our link to do so.
Use our link.
Okay? Thank you to Trophy Smack once again for sponsoring this episode. It's oddly thematically relevant. Moving on to book reports with sports movies. One of these guys, they could have gone to trophysmack.com and using our link to get a trophy for their boxing championship. But we're gonna move on.
Or whatever sport you're watching.
But we're gonna do rapid fire real quick. Jordan, what's your first rapid fire?
I watched Air Bud.
It's technically, those of you who watched the short saw that I maybe included it in my Get Creative bit. So,
it's a sports movie. Dog.
Not against the rules.
No rule that says the dog can't play the sport.
There's no rule.
It's cute. It's cute.
I've always loved those movies. They get progressively sillier as they go on.
It's ridiculous. The dog is way too smart, but it's cute.
It's funny. It's funny to me. The funny bit about Air Bud is how they went to football for the second one. Like the full tackle sport, that's the second one. You could have gone for like soccer, volleyball, all the ones that didn't involve full contact, but you chose the full contact one second. That made me laugh.
They really wanted to tackle the dog.
You really wanted to tackle the dog. So okay, so my first rapid fire is a movie that our friend over at the Average Intelligence and Arete podcast, Jake, suggested in our comments. It's our first viewer suggestion, everybody. He suggested a movie called Gladiator, which he said was a boxing movie. And I would make the argument it is not a boxing movie. I don't know what they were doing in that movie, but it was not boxing. Very loosely, Jordan, for your benefit. It's a movie about an inner city, like a ghetto. This kid moves to this inner city school because his dad got into a bunch of gambling debts and has fallen because the mom died. And he gets tricked into joining a boxing promotion, a dirty boxing promotion, by this dirty boxing promoter. And that's it. He makes friends, they fight, that's the thing. But it's boxing, but it's not like legal regulated boxing. It's like at one point they're like bouncing off of the ring like it's a professional wrestling fight. Like they're doing headlocks, like they're like he like at one point like lifts him up in the air and like power bombs him, and I'm like this isn't boxing. I don't know what this is, but it's not boxing.
Sounds more like wrestling to me.
The final climactic fight between him and the bad guy. It's just straight up a professional wrestling fight. It stopped being boxing like 10 minutes ago. And there's a character who he's just really nice. Like he's just really nice and really like he shows up and he meets the main character, and the main character is kind of nervous. And he's like, you gotta get up and work it out. And he's like, they become instant friends. And he's so nice. And he's like, this is the kind of movie. Something bad's gonna happen to him, and it does. It's something bad happens to him, and it's like, yeah,
of course.
This was coming. This was coming. It's a matter of time. It was okay. It was a decent movie. It's of the boxing movies I watched this week, not the best. We're gonna talk about the best one I saw this week, and it's definitely not my favorite. That is Rocky. Next rapid fire.
Space Jam, one of the greatest commercials that has ever existed.
They play a game of basketball, man.
And they play a game of basketball, so it's technically a sports movie.
They sure play a game of basketball.
I mean, I love the Looney Tunes. Michael Jordan, ain't the greatest actor, but as we saw from Space Jam 2, not the worst.
Here's the thing, right? Michael Jordan and LeBron James have to make you believe that they're in a room with cartoon characters. And I believe that he's in a room with cartoon characters. I believe those whether that's up to the talent of the animators and the voice actors, and picking up Michael Jordan's slack, it is believable that he is in a Looney Tune land. I will say that.
Yeah, I agree.
But no, it's not a good movie. It's a commercial.
Also, it introduced a generation of people to feelings that they didn't know that they felt for Lola Bunny.
For a cartoon bunny, yeah.
We
all felt the feelings we didn't know.
No shame. Yeah. No shame at all. Yeah. But it did.
We all been through it. We all had weird feelings for the bunny. It was the first time a Looney Tune was hot.
Anyone who said that, I mean, they play it up for that effect.
They absolutely did.
They want you to feel those feelings. It's not my fault.
It's not my fault.
I was young. I was young and impressionable.
I was impressionable. We should move on. My next rapid fire is and I did consider watching more than one, but it's Never Back Down. It's an MMA movie, and these are all going to start to sound the same at a point. It's about a kid who moves to a new high school, and he gets tricked into joining an underground backyard fighting, and it's like right on the cusp of like the UFC is just starting to like become mainstream, because this movie comes out in 2008. It's probably the most 2008 movie I've ever seen. The music is super 2008, and it's like I picked it because I was like, here's the thing about MMA movies, and we're gonna talk about the good ones later, but the ones I liked, they're all varying degrees of it's a backyard fight, like like they didn't understand. Oh, that's the thing about Gladiator is it's kind of but before that time where they really understood brain trauma and how hitting people in the head worked, and like there's a point where they talk about brain bleeds and the bad guys, like that's a myth, and I don't want to say because I'm not a doctor and I can't say with certainty, but I'm pretty sure that's true. There's people who have said that Rocky 5, I think it was Rocky 5, Rocky 4 or 5, when they say that Rocky has to retire because of brain damage, if he had been fighting today, they wouldn't have said that to him.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's just a by the numbers, reasonably inspirational fighting movie about fighting. You're right. At a certain point, these all start to become the same. That's it. Never back down. I considered watching a couple of the next ones. It's funny because I don't think anyone comes back for any of them. But what's your next? You have one more?
I have one more. It dips into your fighting territory, which is why I couldn't pick it as one of my picks. But it was the Karate Kid, the original Karate Kid, which is a classic. It's great. It's fun. Bad guy comes. Our bad boy comes into town, beats up the innocent kid from the Cobra Kai gym. He's a real villain.
Yeah,
he steals his girlfriend. He's just a real bad guy.
A real scummy guy.
I mean, his karate teacher teaches him moves by not doing actual karate. He's a terrible teacher.
He wins by an illegal crane kick at the end.
He's the real villain of the movie, but it's a good movie.
Yeah, I know. I quite like Karate Kid. My final one. Wait. Yeah, my final one. Here comes the boom.
Here comes the boom.
That's one of the two. Well, I don't know. That's one of the two good MMA movies I saw. I'm gonna say it. It's one of those ones where it's corny. It's super corny.
Absolutely. It's super corny, super cute. That's what's fun.
I love Henry Winkler, man. It's so funny. It's hard for me to picture Henry Winkler as being the Fonz and being cool.
Yeah. As a young man.
Yeah, because he's just such a grandpa. He's just such grandpa energy.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to mention my favorite character in this movie, which is Boss Rutan, who I'm pretty sure he's just Boss Rutan. He's Nico, the trainer. He's the guy who trains.
I'm trying to think.
He's the guy who trains Kevin James, the Dutch guy. Everything's twisty.
Oh, him. Yeah.
He's fun. I love Boss Rutan. He's really funny. That's a real MMA fighter. He came up in Pride, and he was a bare knuckle fighter. And his big thing is I don't know if it is in this game, but it is in other UFC games. His signature move was liver punch. He's one of those fighters who would say you don't have to hit a guy in the head to knock him out. But he would hit you in the liver punch. And so in some of the UFC games, if you liver punch a guy and you knock him down, it's called, there's an achievement or a trophy. It's like Boss Rutan.
That's funny.
Because that's what he was. And he went on to be like, I don't want to say for certain. He might have passed away. I don't actually know. But he was a sports commentator for a while. He's super fun in this movie. He has like super high energy. He's really funny. He's got some of the best lines. And yeah, it's one of those ones where it's not really all that. It's the only one I could find that involved the UFC. UFC weirdly has not really. You would think they would want to make more movies that are like look at how inspirational UFC can be. But there's movies that feature UFC. The MMA, finding movies about MMA, because I was gonna do a thing of like half of them were gonna be MMA and half of them were gonna be boxing, but there were way more boxing movies. Oh no, I do have one more. Sorry, I have one more. That was your last one?
I thought of one more that I can do.
Okay,
but
do your last one, because then I got one more.
I watched The Waterboy with Adam Sandler, and It's
Wait, maybe
fun.
I don't. Maybe I don't. Continue talking about the Water Boy. So I'm just thinking.
It's fun. A lot of these movies where the person's supposed to be really dumb, the actors have the tendency to make them come across like they have uh special needs, if you will. And that's kind of the case here with this one, but it's still fun. I don't know. H2O. Water sucks. It really, really
I
sucks.
mean, I'm never. Yeah, yeah. When it comes to early Adam
Also,
Sandler, they're hit and miss for me.
Henry Winkler is in this one too, to connect it to what you just said.
Yeah.
And he's a little bit younger in this one.
Yeah.
A little bit
Yeah.
younger.
Um.
Which is weird. You're
Yeah.
right.
What was my last one? And then, I realized I remembered I had a bunch but we're gonna slide them into the actual book report proper. But my final one that I'd seen, Cinderella Man. Cinderella Man, and so we're gonna do two together because they're both boxing movies and they're kind of, and then that will be it. Then we'll move on to actual book reports. Cinderella Man and Southpaw, I watched. Cinderella Man is it's a really inspirational movie about a boxer during the 1930s and his fall from grace and rise up back up to become champion. It's a boxing movie. They're all it's Rocky, but it's a different guy. And this one, the twist of it is because that's the thing I discovered about boxing movies in particular, and the UFC movies to a degree, but boxing in particular, where it's never about boxing itself. It's always about the relationship between the fighter and another person, and it's always it follows a particular structure of them rising and then falling. And so Cinderella story is just that, but this one takes place in the 30s, and it kind of reminded me that boxing is like 1,000 or 100-year-old sport that's been around forever and that people have been doing forever, and that it's like that was kind of interesting to see boxing not in the 21st century and how they used to, and it was like things were a lot more lax back then. There was a lot less safety, and there's a lot of moments where it was like this isn't actually that bad by today's standards. Like they're treating like it's a way bigger deal than it is. And then the other one, Southpaw, which is the exact inverse of every boxing movie I saw. The only interesting thing about it was how it was relentlessly sad. It was like this character is basically, and it was supposed to be Eminem. The character talks like Eminem. His vocal pattern, the lines were clearly written for Eminem. He was supposed to be Eminem, but basically, it's about this boxer who he starts off. He's the champion. And then he falls from grace. His wife dies. His daughter gets taken away from him. He gets addicted to drugs. And it's like basically what happens if the overconfident bad guy in the movie, like the Rocky movie, what happens to him once he got beat? Basically, and it's just relentlessly everything that can go wrong for a guy goes wrong for a guy, and it's just like relentlessly sad movie. And that's it. That is rapid fire. As is tradition, Jordan gets to do the first book report. What is your first sports ball movie, Jordan?
My first one is the 2005 version of The Longest Yard, which I found out watching it this time that it was not the first Longest Yard.
No.
Growing up, I had no idea that there was one that came before this, which had Burt Reynolds as the character that Adam Sandler plays.
Yes.
And so him being in this movie, it's supposed to be like a fun Easter egg, and right over my head.
There's sort of a hint that he might be his character from the first movie, but it is otherwise, literally, well, from what I've heard, a shot-for-shot remake. It's apparently more or less the same exact movie.
For those who don't know, washed-up football star goes to prison, helps prisoners form a football team and take down the guards, yada yada yada, rah rah rah. But also it has Courtney Cox from Friends in the very beginning of it, and I'm like, she's in this movie? Why did I forget she's in this movie? Nice rack.
Yeah, she's uncredited. That's why. Not in the IMDb. Yeah. But it's a weird one of those weird Adam Sandler movies where it gets weirdly sad in the third act out of nowhere.
Yeah, when Caretaker gets murdered.
Yeah.
Which Chris Rock's character gets murdered. but it's fun. It's enjoyable. There's funny jokes in it. It's a comedy. So my one thing, or at least I think it's a comedy.
Yeah.
My one thing about it, and this was kind of the same thing with me for The Waterboy, where it's like I just don't see Adam Sandler as a profession in this one, a professional football
Yeah, a
player.
professional athlete.
Like,
No, I wouldn't have either. But apparently he was. He was. I think he was a football player in college.
really?
I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Huh, interesting.
He's an athlete. Like he plays basketball now. Like he's apparently good.
Maybe that's just me being like me, but he just his build, his shape, he just doesn't
I remember thinking that too.
come across to me as a football star. Like I believe he could play football.
Yeah.
I just don't believe that he'd be a professional athlete.
No,
So like
he's
him,
not nearly
in
big enough.
yeah, like him in Waterboy, for example. Like he's supposed to be like the great defense or whatever, the tackler, and I'm just like he doesn't have the size for me to believe that.
I think in The Longest Yard, I think he's a running back. So those guys aren't supposed to be big. They're supposed to be fast.
Yeah, he's the tosser, I think.
Yeah. So his whole thing is.
It doesn't. I don't really see what his position was. It doesn't say on here.
I think their whole thing is that he's supposed to be fast. I think.
Yeah, I think so. Which it's not unbelievable. It's just I don't see Adam Sandler in that. To me, he's more of the dad. Like he's a dad.
Yeah. No, I get what you mean.
But so I mean that's all I really have to say about that movie. It's a sports movie, and one thing you're gonna find with me for a lot of these is there's just paint by numbers, you know. It's just
it's the same for me. They all started to blend together at a point. Next sports.
Next sports ball would be the great American pastime, dodgeball, a true underdog story.
You know what? It's a sport.
It's a sport in this world. It's on ESPN 9. Which apparently, fun fact, I don't remember which movie it was, but when I was reading about this movie, that channel, there's another sports movie where that ESPN 9 is used, and it's the same. Like it's supposed to be a reference back to dodgeball.
Oh, that's funny.
I might be able to tell you. Hold on.
I mean, they're making a second one.
I was gonna say, it was apparently there's a sequel that's announced. Yeah, the Ocho. Here it is. ESPN paid homage to its lampoon portrayal by airing a day-long ESPN 8 The Ocho Marathon on its college sports channel, ESPNU.
That's funny.
But there was a movie. There was a movie that I read that did it. But anyway, you know, it's got Vince Vaughn playing Vince Vaughn because that's the only character that Vince Vaughn knows how to play is Vince Vaughn.
Hey, he plays well.
He plays it well, but that's what he plays. You've got Bill Dotrieve from King of the Hill is there.
Stephen Root.
You've got a man who's dressed as a pirate. So like for those who like Pirates of the Caribbean and want a good pirate movie, I mean this has everything for everyone.
Pirate Steve.
You know, Pirate Steve. Yar. You've got what's his name as the bad guy?
Ben Stiller's the bad guy.
Ben Stiller is the bad guy, who is hilarious and creepy and weird and great.
Yep.
I mean, it's just a real solid comedy. It's funny, and if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Yep.
Dodge, dip, dive, duck, dodge.
Yep.
The five Ds. There's so many great lines in it. There's so many great jokes. It's one of I don't know if I could say like it's one of the best movies I've ever seen, but it's certainly got a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
And honestly, of the movies that I'm going to talk about, it's definitely my favorite.
Fair enough.
I think it's my favorite. I think it's my favorite sports movie.
That's funny. I don't know what gets that my favorite. I didn't pick my favorite. I tried not to pick my favorite in regards to it. Like I made very pained attempts to not pick Rocky because that felt obvious.
I mean, because Rocky. Everybody's seen Rocky, everybody knows Rocky. Yeah, it's hard to talk about that one.
Exactly. Next one. Is that it for the scene?
That's it for the scene. We're moving on to the have not seen before, and we'll start with the easier one, which is definitely a sports one, Caddyshack.
See, okay, but that's my question. Is Caddyshack? I mean, it takes place at a golf course, right? But is it about
competes,
golf?
Yes, he competes in the point. So the point, okay,
is it not about chasing a gopher?
This movie is two movies. It's the movie of a young college-bound boy who can't afford to go to college, is working at a golf course as a caddy, and ends up joining. Like, they have a caddy, basically like the caddies all play in a golf tournament to see who wins the scholarship.
Oh,
so
okay.
he plays in that tournament, and then there's another play. It's a whole heck of a movie where you've also got. So there's the judge that plays there. That our boy is. He caddies for him. He caddies for this other guy. And then there's this obnoxious rich person that's at the club that drives the judge crazy. All of whom I think are supposed to. I think are famous actors, but I don't know them. But I think they're famous actors.
One of them is definitely Rodney Dangerfield. So yes.
Yeah, I think he's supposed to be the annoying one.
That makes sense. It's Rodney Dangerfield.
But so near the end of the movie, the annoying one challenges the judge to a competition, and then the other one that is younger and our caddy also caddies for. They all end up having a competition where basically they do 9 holes, and whoever has the lowest, whoever has the best or whatever, they're each ponying up $20,000.
Oh, okay.
And whoever does the best wins the pot.
Whoever does better golfing.
Yeah. And the annoying one ends up I don't remember why, but something ends up happening where he can't do it anymore. So he has our young man, our Caddyshack, take his position.
Oh, okay.
And he ends up winning. And so, which leads me to my point of Bill Murray is insane in this movie and is the groundskeeper at the golf course and has been tasked with getting this gopher, which is it's like a puppet. Like, the gopher's not really a gopher; it's a puppet. But in the movie, it's an actual gopher.
Yes.
And Bill Murray is young. That's the youngest I've ever seen Bill Murray. He's like 28 in this movie. He's younger than I am now, which, you know. So over the course of the movie, he tries a bunch of different shenanigans to get this gopher. Can't get the gopher. And so near the end of the final scenes of the movie, he's got C4, which he's putting down the gopher holes, and he's put it throughout the park and stuff. And so our boy, the caddy, does his final shot to get the putt into the hole to win it all, basically. And it stops right beside the hole, and the rich judge asshole is all like, I win $80,000 or whatever, or 40,000, whatever it ended up being, 60,000. And Bill Murray blows up, does the and like explosion, and it shakes the earth, and the ball falls in, and our guy wins. So it is technically a competition at the end, competition slash bet slash whatever you want to call it. It fulfills your requirement and is thus a sports movie.
I mean, I can't argue against that. It involves playing a sport. If some people consider golf to be a sport, I'm not one of those people. Some people consider it to be a sport.
It was on the sports movie list, ergo it's a sports movie.
Ergo it's a sports movie. Okay.
Now that being said, I do want to say, I would never have expected in a movie where it's about golf to see boobs, but you do in this movie for those who enjoy that.
It's an 80s comedy. I'm not surprised.
But so that's a thing. But overall, not a bad movie.
No, I mean, it is a classic for a reason.
Yeah, I can see the appeal.
Right.
But that's my first have not seen.
And then you have one more?
I do have one more. It's one that I think is weird, but they do a competition, so it's called Teen Wolf.
Oh yeah, Teen Wolf, yeah. I mean, they play basketball at the end.
Yeah, I know, but it's not. But the movie isn't really about the sport.
I mean, isn't it though? Isn't his whole deal that he's a basketball player?
No,
Isn't it like a
no.
big part
Well,
of his
yes,
identity?
he's on the basketball team,
Like there's
but
that iconic
the
shot of him
point
turning into a wolf as he
the
slams a
the
dunk.
point of the movie is more about the fact that he doesn't want to be average. He wants to stand out and be different, and then boom, turns out that his family, his dad, his brother, and him are werewolves. And so the point of the movie is more about he he enjoys the popularity and he enjoys the attention and he leans into it and like lets everyone know that he's the werewolf and everybody loves him because he's the werewolf and he starts winning at games and stuff. And it's like, yeah, it has sports in there, but it's not, in my opinion, it's I I'm using it as a sports movie, but I don't know that I would call it a sports movie. But yeah, in the end, like he has a rivalry with this guy from another team whose girl he's trying to move in on and steal.
I mean, I
So
guess
there's
that begs the
definitely
question. What
there's definitely a sports like aspect to it, but
um
to me, the point of it is about him and how he wants to be popular and
I
stuff.
guess that begs the question, much in that age-old "what constitutes a Christmas movie" question we asked back in the winter. I guess it is technically still winter. Anyway, what makes a sports movie? What makes something?
Back at Christmas.
Yeah, what makes something? What would you what is your threshold for what make? Does it really have to have a sport in it? Does it have to involve a sport, or does it have to be about that sport? Because a lot of the movies I watched where it was like, yeah, this has boxing in it, like Cinderella Man. Cinderella Man has boxing in it, but it's not really about boxing. It's about this boxer. So is it a boxing movie or is it a, you know what I mean? So it's like, where
Yeah.
is your line for what it constitutes a sports movie?
That's what I was having problems with this challenge. Is it's like, yeah, where do you draw the line? How much of the sport needs to be in the movie for it to be considered a sports movie? Like, for example, High School Musical, they play basketball, but that's not a sports movie.
That's not a sports movie.
I wouldn't call that a sports movie, but it
Neither would
has
I.
sport in it.
But by the threshold, yeah, it technically does. They technically play a game of
Or
basketball.
like it also depends on what you personally consider to be a sport. So like, and I'm gonna get flack for this, I'm sure. But one of the movies that I considered was Bring It On, the cheerleading movie where they
Oh
do
yeah.
cheerleading. But I don't consider cheerleading to be a sport.
No, it's the thing you do as sport. Is
It's
that
a
how it says?
it's a competition, but
Yeah.
it's not a sport.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't consider bowling a sport.
Yeah, me neither. Like for me,
Ooh, is that
that's
gonna get us in trouble?
again, that's to me that's a competition.
Yeah, it's a
So
competition.
like you can like for example, School of Rock that's a competition. They're
Yeah.
showing up to compete and win something, but that's not a sport,
Yeah, it's like when people call poker
right?
a
So
sport.
for me,
What
like
is poker doing
cheerleading
on your screen?
or cheerleading or dancing in general, like Dancing with the Stars, for example,
Yeah.
I also would not consider that to be a sport. So where's the line from that to cheerleading, which a lot of people consider cheerleading to be a sport?
That's an excellent question.
Where's
I'm not the
where's
person
the line
qualified to
there,
answer that
right?
question, but
Yeah, like
yeah,
it's a fascinating thing to think about, though.
yeah,
The
absolutely, yeah.
thought experiment is where exactly is the distinct line between what is and is not a sport,
I think that's a question
and
that people
and
have.
what's a competition.
Yeah,
I throw that out to the audience.
yeah. Well, I mean, what is your line for sports movie? I mean, that's also a question. Okay, that's
I personally think that it has to like the focus has to be the sport.
true.
That to me is what makes it.
So that is that it for you? Do you
That's it for me.
that's it for
I don't
you?
really have much. I mean, unless you want to go into the deep dive details about what happens in this very iconic movie that I'm sure a lot of people have seen.
I'm,
I don't think it's necessary,
I don't think
but
it is.
if you really want to pad the runtime here, Justin, we can do it.
No, let's talk some boxing movies.
All right, moving on.
Some boxing and some MMA. Well, I only managed to, like I said, I wanted to do a bunch of MMA and I wanted to do a bunch of boxing, and that just didn't work out. So I've got one more MMA movie, real quick, and it's called Warrior, and it's about two brothers who are estranged. Their parents divorced when they were quite young, and one of them went with the mom, one of them went with the dad, and they are both mixed martial arts fighters, and they
Eddie
join,
Brock.
yeah, they join a big tournament style competition And it's about, that's where I say a lot of these movies, like, it's not really about, it's about MMA certainly, but it's more about the relationship.
Features MMA.
Yeah, it's about the relationship between the two brothers more than it is, and their relationship to the dad. And the performances are all good in it.
I remember that movie being really good.
It's so good. And like it and
I'm a sucker for a good brother story. I have a brother,
what
so.
Can I say? I'm it and Here Comes the Boom. We're really good at like making the fight feel real to a degree. I mean, being a fan of MMA, it's a little bit like these guys are taking way too many hits. The ref would have stopped this fight 5 minutes ago. But it's a movie; it requires drama. Like he's fighting with one arm at one point. It's like they would never let this happen.
No. There would be stoppage there for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But that's the movie that made me go like, I remember when they announced Tom Hardy as Bane, and for me, Tom Hardy was the guy from Inception, like the really wispy guy from Inception.
Yeah,
so I was like, I don't see him as Bane. I don't see him. He's not physically imposing enough for me to be Bane. And this was the movie that I went, yeah, he's huge. Like he's a small guy in this. Like, he's shorter than I forget, Joel Edgerton, who's playing his brother. He's shorter than him, and he's shorter than all the guys he fights. But he's massive, and he's so physically imposing. And every time he hits someone, it's like it's thunderous, and it's good.
Yeah. What I remember liking about this movie is
good,
you don't. What I remember liking about this movie is you don't really know which one you're supposed to be rooting for,
right?
Because like they're both
this time around.
Good.
It was like it's like the Tommy is a dick, and I think it's supposed to be about him. It's supposed to be about. I think the movie wants you to think that you're supposed to root for Joel Edgerton, but I think you're supposed to root for Tom Hardy making the emotional victory. So it's like, yeah, Joel Edgerton wins the physical victory and he gets the money and he gets all that, but Tommy needed that physical it's like how people are like, boys just need to hit it out, but I think that's what the idea of this is he needed that.
He got his brother back.
Yeah, exactly. And I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that movie. And then speaking of brothers, the next one I watched, which was like when I selected biographical boxing movie, because I was like, I can only pick one. Do I pick the Ron Howard one, the schmaltzy one? That's with Russell Crowe, who looks amazing, by the way. No, I'm gonna pick the Christian Bale one, the Mark Wahlberg one. Because I was like, oh man, I forgot how good this movie is. I forgot how much Christian Bale became that guy. Like,
which one is this?
This is the one where it's the two brothers, and the one brother's addicted to crack. And
is this still the Warrior?
No. This is the Fighter.
Oh, the Fighter. Okay. I don't think I saw that one.
We did. We watched that one together.
Did we?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fair enough. Go on.
Yeah, that's the one where at the credits we were like, wow, Christian Bale became that guy. He looks just like him. It's Mark Wahlberg. It's got Amy Adams in it. And the brother is like a fuck up, and the family doesn't want them to train with him, and he thinks he's recording a documentary about his comeback, but he's actually recording a documentary about the fact that he's a drug addict, and it's really good. Christian Bale, I believe, won Best Supporting Actor for it. And I think
I don't specifically remember that one.
I just remember because I saw the trailer for it a million times, and I just remember Mark Wahlberg going, "I'm fighting this fight, not me, you, or me." And that's I don't know why. It's him saying that line. I heard it 1,000 times when I was cleaning theaters. But no, it's pretty good. And then boxer, my final. Sorry, I'm running through all the ones I had seen. Real Steel. That was the last one. The last one I saw that I had seen before was Real Steel.
Rock'em Sock'em Robots, the movie?
Rock'em Sock'em Robots, the movie. And it's a movie I watched, and remarkably...
I remember liking that movie a lot.
It's produced by Steven Spielberg. It's directed by Sean Levy, who did Free Guy, The Atom Project.
That would be why I liked it.
He's doing Deadpool 3. And I'm watching this and I'm like, this is one of those movies where I can't believe there wasn't like 5 or 6 straight to DVD sequels not starring Hugh Jackman. They set up a world where you could absolutely have a whole bunch of those ones. Yeah, like this was perfect.
You have a new up and coming.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Shit writes itself.
Yeah, any number of robot fighting scenarios. Yeah,
and like, because they're robots, you could have so many different designs and looks and like,
right?
yeah, the shit writes
Like
itself.
they talk about at one point the early days of robot boxing, and I'm like, yeah, man, where's the movie about like young Hugh Jackman and like the early days of robot boxing? Like, there's a prequel there, and like, forget a sequel, there's a prequel that's interesting, and but I mean, and then I was like, but then also the core and foundation of that movie is the relationship between the father and the son, so it's like. Again, it's not the robot boxing is a feature. That's where I was like, get creative, because I really wanted to talk about Real Steel, and I'm like, it's technically a boxing movie. Fun fact: when you look up boxing movies, for me, it was the second thing that popped up on Google, so it counts. It counts as a boxing movie.
When I looked it up, it was the first.
That's funny. Interestingly, though, as recently as 2021, Sean Levy has said they're talking about a sequel. They're talking about doing another one. Yeah, with him, Hugh Jackman, and Ryan Reynolds. And I'm like,
interesting.
How do you fold Ryan Reynolds into this? The only thing I can think of is
a rival.
What?
He's a rival. He's a rival for Emily.
But also, like, it came out in 2014. We watched that at Metro Town. Anyway, it came out 2014, I think. So it's been like 15 years since the first one. So the kid's now like a young adult. So theoretically, you could tie him into the son somehow. Like, the son is now an adult. You could just be like, oh, flash forward a couple years, Ryan Reynolds is the son, maybe.
I mean, you could have it be where I mean, yes, you could do that, or I mean, you could have any number of things. You could have it be where the son is now the one in debt, like the dad was in the beginning, because he just left fighting too much, whatever. And Ryan Reynolds is his boss or a debt collector, or you could basically redo the first one again.
Yeah, well, then I also had the thought, and then I went back on it. I'm like, well, no, the point of these things is kind of the robots, but I was like, well, then maybe, because the movie kind of implies that Adam has some kind of consciousness. So I thought, well, what if it's now like we leap forward, it's 10 years, and now we've come back full circle, and the robots are now humans again. They're androids, and Ryan Reynolds is Adam 3 or Adam 2 point whatever, and he's Adam.
Oh, he's the voice of him or whatever.
Well, no, he's literally, it's Ryan Reynolds, and Adam is now a human.
I don't know about that.
That's why I had the thought, and then I went, and then I had that thought midway through the movie, and then towards the second half, I was like, I don't.
At that point, it just becomes a boxing. You lose the point of it is that the robots are the.
I agree. I do agree.
It just becomes a boxing movie at that point.
And then the other thing that was talked about is apparently there's in talks to do a Disney Plus show.
Okay.
And I'm like, again, you don't need Hugh Jackman for this. You don't.
No. You could just bring the son back.
Yeah, absolutely.
You could have it where it's like the son now has a son.
Yeah, exactly.
And then at that point, you could maybe have Hugh Jackman come back as a cameo as a grandfather for like one scene or one episode or whatever.
Exactly. And I think that's it. And then one last.
So.
I think we're gonna end up running short today, Jordan, because turns out didn't have a ton to say about sports movies.
I tried, man. I really did. It's hard.
Yeah,
they're all kind of the same.
Yeah, they really are. They all have the same.
Which is why I tried to pick different sports.
Yeah. So I guess that's it. That's it for the ones I saw. And then I think I gave away the ones I hadn't seen. I thought I put them into rapid fire. But one of the ones I saw, which was interesting, was I saw, oh shit, Bloodsport. I watched Bloodsport. I'm trying to find another MMA movie I hadn't seen. It was tough. It was genuinely tough because it was all varying degrees of, it was all, they're not MMA. They're just street fights. And it's like backyard street fights. And Bloodsport is no different. It's a guy gets invited to a secret underground. It's Jean-Claude Van Damme, and he gets invited to a secret underground fight tournament single elimination in Japan, and it's an ancient Japanese tournament, and he's gone there because he's been trained by his master, and he's gone there to fight for his master's honor to win this championship for him. And he's an army ranger guy, and there's army guys who are trying to recapture him and bring him back to him because he's a dangerous army guy. And yeah, it's really violent, and the bad guy is this like ridiculously jacked and ripped Asian guy who's really funny. He has his crazy face is fucking hilarious. And there's so many moments where where he beats a guy and then he just flexes his pecs just to show off that he's jacked. Like there's like more than one moment where he like breaks a guy's back over his knee, and then like the guy's unconscious and he's just flexing his pecs.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
But this movie's interesting because it's the inspiration for multiple things. It's the inspiration for MMA generally, because it was kind of the first moment they showed off mixing different martial arts styles. So it's sort of the precursor to what would eventually become not modern UFC, but the original UFC.
Like that first one where you had like the sumo versus the kickboxer and stuff.
Exactly, yeah, one of those. Like there's one guy in it where his whole thing is he's just a massive guy, and he picks up like, the guy by his head, he just slams him. Like, yeah. And it also inspired Mortal Kombat. Jean-Claude Van Damme in particular is the inspiration for Johnny Cage. Yeah. And this movie in particular inspired the tournament. And the bad guy, there's no way. Sorry. Got a burp. There's no way he didn't inspire
Shao Kahn?
Not Shao Kahn. The guy who used fire.
Oh.
Liu Kang. There's no way he didn't inspire Liu Kang.
Oh, yeah.
Because he looks just like Liu Kang.
That's funny.
But it's from the 1980s. It's really corny. Some of the dialogue is hilarious. Like, in that it's super, super cheesy. And it's really funny because he obviously Jean-Claude Van Damme wins in the end. And he's now the champion. And then at the end, it's like this whole movie was based on a true story. The guy who this is based on eventually went on and here's his record. And was like, what? And so I went to Google and I was like, sure enough, yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I got a tickle in my throat. Sorry. Yeah, sure enough, this is a real guy, and most people generally agree that he did what he said he did. And that like he won. There's evidence that because this is like pre-internet and people didn't bring cameras to these things. There's no real way to like authenticate what he says. But most people generally agree that he probably is telling the truth. And I was like, what? Like, really? All right then. Okay. Oh yeah, that and then that he wins in the end. And there's like 5 sequels. So I was like, as far as I'm concerned, his character won and then never came back to defend his belt. Just never returned.
Undefeated champion.
Undefeated champion. But yeah, overall, yeah, my favorite boxing movie is still Rocky. It's still the Rocky movies. I mean, I really like Fighter. I really enjoyed that one. It was good. It was better than Cinderella Man. I guess I can go back and because I thought I'd seen more than I did that I hadn't seen. But Cinderella Man, it's like it's like 30 to 40 minutes before we get to see a fight. And like the performances in it are good. Like Paul Giamatti is in it, and I've never seen a Paul Giamatti movie I didn't like. He's phenomenal. He's so good. And it's one of those like, oh yeah, it's sweet, it's fun. It's just not really doing anything for me in terms of like hitting me in like an emotion or hitting me like in a spot. Like it's a guy from the 1930s who's poor, and I'm like, oh yeah, I relate to this right now, but but yeah, but
buy
anyway,
trophies.
That buy some trophies, please.
Buy trophies.
Buy some trophies for your up and coming boxing mentee that you have out there who you're hoping to win the big championship.
Or a belt.
Or a ring. But yeah, that was sports movies. The assignment for next week is, I know you're wondering what the assignment is for next week, Jordan. what you're wondering. It is pick an actor.
I am wondering.
Pick an actor. And watch 2 movies of theirs you've seen, 2 you haven't seen, and ideally pick an actor who has a nice varied filmography. So if he's a comedian, for example, don't pick all of his comedies. Pick some of his dramas. Pick some of his comedies. Pick you know, if you've got some stuff, maybe he did a TV guest spot and you're like, oh, I want to talk about that one episode he did of that show that was really good. You can do that too. But we're gonna talk about the actors in terms of their broad career and the individual movies themselves. But we're gonna talk about maybe some stuff earlier in the career, some stuff later in the career. But pick an actor and come about next week.
This is one of those rare situations, Justin, where I don't know which movies I'm going to pick yet, but I know which actor.
I do too.
I know which actor.
I already know an actor.
I feel like maybe we can tease that over the course of the week in the Discord. Go check out the Discord. Join the Discord.
So with that, thank you once again to Trophy Smash. I'm gonna fuck up the name. Trophy Smash.
TrophySmash.com.
Yep, TrophySmash.com. Thank you. Thank you once again to them for sponsoring. The ad people don't like it when you mess up the name. Thank you for sponsoring this video.
We're still learning. Sorry, it'll get better.
Learning. This is our first sponsorship. We're nervous. Thank you for sponsoring this video. Seriously, click the link. Go check them out. They got some cool stuff over there. Thank you to them.
Very, very well made stuff.
Very well made stuff. Yeah, no.
Money back guaranteed.
Money back guaranteed. I saw their Shark Tank promo. It's good stuff. So thank you to them. As always, if you want to contact the show, if you want to be like Trophy Smash and have us advertise your stuff, you can email the show. It's at justinsbusiness@gmail.com. It's in the description. Join the Discord. Like Jordan said, come join the Discord. You too can suggest a movie that we watch, just like Jake did, or you can leave a comment and like and subscribe and do all the stuff that YouTube wants you to do. And you can suggest stuff, and we'll watch it, and we maybe will enjoy it. I liked Gladiator. I made fun of it a little bit, but I liked it. It was a good movie. Not really 1992.
We just ask that you try to make it fit the week's theme.
Oh yeah, try to make it thematic to the week, like Jake did. Jake did a good job of picking a boxing movie. So
you can also tell us which one of us you want to watch the particular thing, whether it be Justin or myself.
Exactly. But yeah, you can join that. That's also in the description. You can follow me on TikTok. I'm on TikTok. I do what we do here, but shorter. I also post clips from this on there as well. That's Justin Spurr. You can follow me there. The link to that is also in the description. Jordan, where can they find you?
I am on Twitch at Zethgore187. I do have a YouTube, same name, but I don't post much at the moment. But if you guys come join me, maybe I will.
Maybe he will. Maybe if you come join him on Mondays more often, maybe he'll do a Tuesday. Who knows? We don't know. Who can say? But in the meantime, we will see you all next